All right, the meeting's live on YouTube.
Is that Jeff?
Hi, everyone. Today is April 22nd, and I'd like to call this meeting to order. It's 8:31, April 22nd. We're here tonight to discuss the Public Works budget. Here with me tonight, we have committee members Mike Henry, Vinnie DiGilio, Robert Tabersack, Ben Chianese. We also have, I don't know if I could see everybody, ex officio members. I'm just gonna run down the line. You can tell me if you're here or not. Robert Alves, Emilio Bazade, I don't know if he's here. Michael Esposito, Warren Levy, Frank Salvatore Jr., Irving Fox, no, John Priola,
Yes, here.
okay, Elmer Palma, Jack Knapp, no, John Esposito third.
Here, Madam Chair.
Okay, great. Farley Santos.
I'm here.
Yeah, Dwayne Perkins.
Present.
Fred Visconti. Is he still with us? Ben Chianese. Paul Rotello.
I'm
Here,
here.
ma'am.
Okay, Nancy Camissa, Richard Molinaro.
Here.
And we have several, tonight we have several department heads with us. I can probably run through some of them. David St. Hilaire, Director of Finance, Antonio Adirola, Sean Hanley, is he here? No. I didn't know if Construction Services, Tom Hughes or Antonio, are you going to take care of that?
Yeah, Mrs. Chairman, I usually take care of all of the divisions. I do have my very astute public utilities superintendent on the line with me. Just in
David
case you
Day.
guys want to talk about water and sewer.
Okay. All right, let's get this party started. And I was hoping that David St. Hilaire, we can just maybe go through starting with the top, public buildings.
Okay, thank you. I will share my screen. Just give me one moment. And can you all see my screen?
Yes, we can.
All right, I'm going to give you a quick overview of public buildings, and hopefully that will streamline all the departments that we need to cover in public buildings. Overall, the public buildings accounts, this represents just all the departments within public buildings, from all the 1340s and down to 1391 and then 3010. And bear with me a second, I'm just going to hide this. And overall, there's a decrease of about $67,000 in all the public buildings accounts. And that's primarily driven by, first and foremost, electricity costs have gone down, and a part-time position has been eliminated. That's really the person that was down in the lobby for the building. That's now covered under a contractual item. So those two items are the big negative offsets, and then there's some other smaller line items that you see, and some of the lines that you see are familiar that we talked about in other Ad-Hocs. Cleaning services are going up. Obviously, we got some other buildings online now. You'll see that here, but actually you won't see it here, but the existing buildings that we have, the costs are going up. They have to be a little bit more careful with COVID and all this other kind of stuff. So those things you're going to see throughout. But most of it is flat with minor changes. Most of those changes are actually negative. Cleaning went up for obvious reasons. And that's about it. So I'll switch back so we can go through by department like we were in the previous ad hocs, if that's all right, through the chair. So-
Yes.
Okay, so I'll start with on page 194, 1340. The mayor proposed is 1,251,000. That's an increase of $11,252. All right, mostly in other salaries and other earnings. All right,
Any questions from the members?
I'm gonna save all my comments to the end, Colleen. How's that?
okay,
There you go. Thank you. I appreciate that, Ben.
Only for you, only you.
I appreciate it.
okay.
Okay. Any other comments from Antonio?
No, I think the theme you're going to see through the entire Public Works budget is exactly what David said. We're flat, if not just below where we were last year. Thank
Yeah,
you.
there's just small adjustments between line items. And the big adjustments I just mentioned, but generally the public works budget overall is flat. Wherever you saw the adjustment was in the line items they didn't have control over, and that was in electric, went down, workers' comp went down, and so those areas, heating fuel and motor fuel, that may have gone down a little bit, but we try to keep those flat. But generally, overall, the budgets were flat. All right.
So
So-
David, this is going from page 194. We can take that all the way down to page 198. That's all the buildings. If we look at it, we
All the
see,
buildings that you can
we see that, we could
you-
see it
You could, yep.
in general. If there's any questions, if anybody has any questions, maybe we could just keep going.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone has any questions for any one of those line items that from, as I mentioned, 1340 down to 1391, which is 194 to 198.
Yep.
I looked at that from the high level, and I even addressed 3010. So again,
Yep.
that budget is flat. That's only a $400 difference.
All right. Are there any questions from our
I-
members?
Yes, I have one.
Go ahead.
Okay, the Bob Tabersack. Just on City Hall buildings, again, I see proposed for part-time workers, the 16, and I see the 0 at the end. And I was just wondering, does that mean we're not having any part-time workers, or is it included somewhere else?
Yeah, that's included somewhere else. We have a contract, we use a contract firm to do that. Basically we used to use a part-time person. We don't. We have a contract, we use a contract firm to do the lobby now, to have somebody sit in the lobby.
Okay, that's basically what that is.
Right.
Okay, all righty.
Okay, maybe we can move to Director of Public Works, page 242.
242. All right, and the mayor's proposed budget is 268,000, and you can see it's flat. I mean, there's no bottom line changes. Essentially, it's just a little movement between lines.
Antonio, do you have anything that you want to add to that? You're okay with it?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, anybody have any questions?
I'm just gonna save it all to the end, Colleen.
Ben, you must be tired. I heard you
worked
worked in so hard before.
Well, it's all a general comment.
I mean, you look a
think-
little
Okay.
sleepy. You sure you
I
want
don't
to
know.
wait
I
till the
think
end?
I think you did a really great job with this particular part of this budget. Let's move on to
I-
highways, page 246.
I may lose my voice, but
No, you won't. We're gonna get through this pretty quick. I don't know.
All
That's pretty
right.
good.
All right, page 246, highways. The mayor's proposed budget is 3,227,000 for an increase of 47,190. And that is in other salaries, other earnings.
Any questions?
as we talked about before,
okay.
that's there because, we have some contractual things coming up. And so we put them in.
Any questions? Any comments? Okay, let's move on to highways, state aid.
Highway
Page
State,
247.
page 247, and that is 360,000 flat with the current year.
Okay,
Okay,
anybody have any questions?
again, on page 247, and snow and ice removal, $798,000, flat with the current year. As you recall, we do get a PW grant, and as we need to, Antonio and Tom will come and say, we've had
Yep.
more events than usual, and so we may need to utilize part of that for snow and ice removal. And so we'll periodically tap that as we need to, and then the rest will be used for, paving or, whatever else is eligible on that, some bridge work or tree removal and whatnot.
Sounds good. Any questions? Okay, how about, and we just did street lighting, right?
No, street lighting is, it went down by 44,000. The mayor's proposed budget is 472,000. And that's primarily due because of we really had the first full year of the new street lamp heads. That's reflected in this budget.
Any questions?
I'm breaking my silence, Colleen.
All righty.
Just on
Let's
the,
move-
David,
Yeah.
for the streetlights, has that been completed now?
I'm not sure if they're 100% complete, but they're substantially complete. I haven't seen the numbers drop too much like they did last year. Last year, there was a noticeable drop, in the second half of the fiscal year. Really going into the winter time. And so, when they're doing all the switch outs. So I don't know the exact number. Antonio may want to chime in on that one, but it's a pretty large number. The list I have is kind of old. It was in the midst of all that. So
We're getting there.
yeah.
Okay, that's it. That's all I need to know.
Okay, great.
Park maintenance, 250.
Yeah.
Park maintenance is $1,473,500. And that's an increase of $19,619 approximately. Again, in other salaries, other earnings. And some small adjustments to offset that. Again, workers' comp, as you guys have seen in all the ad hocs, that we're seeing some savings across the board on that.
Any questions?
Colleen, I do. I'm going to break my silence again. Just an overall. I don't know if Tim Nolan's there or maybe Antonio. I know last year we didn't use the parks because of the COVID, but now I have to assume that these parks are going to be heavily used and we're going to have to be ready to go. On the Westerners field, and I drive past that pretty regularly, and I see the grass and I see the bare spots and I see the dirt. Is that going to be all ready to go? The netting and the scoreboard, everything
Mr.
that they said they were
Tunisi,
going to do? Yeah,
I'm sorry, I'll let you finish.
no, because I know there's supposed to be scoreboards and netting and all that. The
Well,
new
that's
fences.
outside, Mr. Tunisi, that's outside of what we're doing. Those are donations that are coming in. Our job was to try to remediate some of the issues with the playing field. There was some ponding, some very significant uneven surfaces, some trip hazards. So yes, we are actively growing grass. And we are doing everything we can to get that grass to grow as quickly as we can. Now,
Right.
last night's temperatures did not help us, but I tell you, I'm counting grass growing every single minute.
Okay, good to hear. That's it. That's all I have.
Okay.
This is Councilwoman.
Anyone? Yes, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman. Thank you, through you too, Mr. Idarola. Antonio, we talked a little while back about different types of methods for, I need to go back to the paving. There's a system called Cold in Place, and I believe I also talked to Tim Nolan about some of the research that comes out of UConn for different types of techniques and procedures in paving. Does this budget reflect any of the vendors that are using some of those newer type technologies that may save the city money?
What you're referencing to is what's called the Paving Lab, which is part of UConn. Interesting thing is Tom Hughes, several of my staff members are actively involved with those folks. And some of the technology that you're talking about is actually technology has been around for a while. It's different formats of paving. And the pricing varies significantly. What we found in the end, and it changes year to year, that's why we keep an eye on it, is the biggest bang for our buck is to do hot asphalt. Overall, we get a heck of a lot more of a life expectancy out of it. And when you look at the life expectancy compared to the outright capital cost, it still is coming in as one of the best things out there. Although we have found there is several methods of pavement restoration and preservation that Tim Nolan has researched, and we're actually going to do a bunch of that this year. So you will see some pavement preservation technology that has been developed, and we've done some research, and it seems to be proving very effective to extend the life of the roads that are in good shape, but they're getting old. So that is. But I want to assure you, we're constantly looking at the technology that's out there and the cost drivers for it.
That's
Thank you.
good news.
One follow-up, Mr. Chairman, through you to Antonio again. Can you just, to the best of your ability, address some of the things that people say about inferior materials as far as asphalt, that it wears out faster than it ever did? I mean, I think it's more of an urban legend, because I think I know.
I was really
but
hoping we can keep our comments to the budget and
Well,
not,
Mr. Chairwoman,
I
it is the
mean,
budget
this is
because
something I
we're
think you
paying
could probably
for-
give Antonio a call on the phone and chat to him about.
We're paying for materials that could be part of this whole process. So I'd like to hear what he has to say about it.
Mrs. Chairman, I could very quickly answer that. And actually, I should let you answer that.
Yeah, I can.
But no, yes, what you're, believe it or not, it's not really an urban legend. There's quite a bit of facts to it. There is what's called wrap, and it's completely recycled material that is allowed to be used in the production of asphalt. And where years ago, we would use all native products. And believe it or not, our asphalt probably had a much better wear life to it. But the state several years ago allowed wrap to be used in the making of asphalt. What we found is wrap, because it's not a natural product, it's basically recycled product, asphalt, other cinders. We are seeing that it discolors quicker. So we used to pave a road, it would stay nice and dark for several years. Now, 3-4 years into it, you'll see a very quick lightening, almost a graying of the surface. And what you're seeing is that wrap material decomposing under wear. But there's no place in the state of Connecticut that you can go where asphalt plants are not using wrap, and they're using it at the maximum level that the state allows. because remember, a lot of this asphalt is used for state paving jobs, so they have to certify the material. I do want to tell you, I've seen some material coming out of New York, the Peckham plant, that is gorgeous. When I talk about gorgeous, I'm telling you, I get excited because it wears perfect, it compacts really well. And the difference there between what we're seeing in Connecticut is they have little, if no, wrap in their asphalt. So I hope that answers your question, Mr. Chairman.
No, it exactly does, because what I'm saying is, if that product does exist, are we using it? I mean, is that part of our vendors' minimum requirements of product use? And is that part of the things that we require vendors to have?
Yeah, we utilize a low bid process, and our spec matches the state spec, which allows, to be honest with you, the use of wraps. So, and we try to utilize our local vendors. It would cost a heck of a lot more to haul out of New York into Connecticut than to go right down the street across from my public works department and utilize what the entire state of Connecticut in theory is using. But I do want to tell you this, the industry, there's several discussions and there's a lot of push to minimize that wrap. A lot of community leaders, a lot of public works directors are starting to really take notice of this and are starting to petition the state to try to minimize that amount of wrap that is allowed in the making of asphalt. And it's starting to gain some ground. So stay tuned.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Hello? Did I lose you?
No, I'm good. No questions with me.
Okay, all right, very good. Do you want to move on to
Forestry.
forestry? 254.
Page 254, forestry. The amount proposed by the mayor, 308,500. That's an increase of $7,350, primarily again in salaries and salary related items.
Any questions?
Colleen, just a quick question to Antonio, more of an overview. Is the forestry going to be doing a big tree cutting project over the summer, or just maintain what they've been doing?
We do two programs. One is we do have a list of trees that are considered to be dangerous or dying, and we do work through that. And it's a combination of city employees and outside services. And then we do in the late summer, early fall, we do a tree trimming, which is really directed to prevent damage to our plow trucks, low-lying limbs, things like that. So yeah, those are two very active programs. And we also work with, believe it or not, Eversource. If we get an opportunity to get Eversource in town for a week or two and they ask for assistance, we hook in with them, because the benefit to the city of Danbury from hooking in with them is tremendous.
And if people need, they still call 311 to report trees that need to be on city property, to let you know?
Yes. Yes, that is the best way to notify us of a potentially dead tree, or and even if you don't think it's on city property, we can come out and validate that pretty quickly. We have two city surveyors. We can make that determination pretty quick. Yes.
Thank you, Colleen. Thank you,
Okay,
Antonio.
thank you. Okay, any other questions? Okay, maybe we can move on to page 198.
Okay, well, I
Or-
think we
or-
covered this already, but this is,
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yep.
We have
So
this.
3020, which is Department 3020
Yeah.
Equipment Maintenance, page
Equipment
257.
257.
And that budget proposed by the mayor is $1,470,000, basically flat. There's some shifts within that. Of course, that's the one with the fuel oil. There's some reduction in fuel oil. and salaries went up. So it was offsets in there.
Okay, any questions?
Yes, I do. I have one.
Mr. Tabersack?
Okay, let's see, I was just looking at the figure over here and you know, where the heck is it now? Oh, I just saw that just the proposal by the department was 1,000, you know, 1,786,000, and then the proposal was 1,470,000. It seems quite a big of a difference. So I was wondering if Antonio could explain, is that going to cause any problems for him, or is maybe it's just something I'm not understanding here?
Mr. Tabersack, I did have a little bit of a hard time hearing you. Are you just making reference to
The total, just the
Yep.
total here that you asked for, it says
Yep.
1,796,000 and you got 1,470,000. And I was wondering, it seems like that was quite a big difference. Is there anything that stands out there, or, I mean, it's
No.
just not going to cause any problems?
No, predominantly what you're seeing there is a difference that's really related to our vehicle maintenance division, which we always represent sort of the expenditure that we made. If you remember when David started his presentation, he spoke about a public works grant that we get every year. That public works grant really is a safe haven for us because it allows us to cope with significantly difficult winters, sometimes storms that pop up and do significant damage. So what David does is whatever shortfalls that we get in certain line items, that grant will be used to fund that potential shortfall. We have been seeing a little bit of a markup in our vehicle maintenance division, and predominantly has a lot to do with, believe it or not, some of the lubricants, some of the parts, and we're also seeing we just had a couple bad years of vehicles that have gone down, and you know what a transmission costs today on a vehicle to replace it. So, but I do want to tell you that whenever we ask David to help us with the line item when we run short, he does usually provide us access to that public works grant, and that's how we do it. That's how we deal with it. So that's the predominant driver.
Okay, so really, it's not affecting you in a negative way.
No.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, let's move on.
Okay. The Department 3030 recycle solid waste, and that's page 261. And the proposed as mayor is 267,500. That's a reduction of $10,200.
Any questions?
Colleen, to
Yes.
Antonio, the landfill can you give us a very quick update on the landfill? How's that going?
Well, I do want to tell you that we have no ongoing work at the landfill other than we do have some monitoring that we're doing. And you'll see a little bit of an expenditure for that in here. But other than that, there's really no other expense. Our gas production, our methane gas production, which in the very beginning of closing the actual landfill was very extensive. We're at the point now where gas production, which means that the landfill is starting to settle. It's not digesting anymore. It's coming to a rest, which is a great thing to see. But we are possibly in the near future taking a look at the flare that you see and downsizing the flare in order to accommodate the less production of the methane.
Because I've written the book here, as one of your major objectives is the solar arrays at the landfill. Can you explain what that's about?
Yeah, I mean, we are definitely always pursuing any opportunity that we have for green energy. We have this We have this landfill that has an outrageous amount of wildlife. Honest to God, the wildlife there is tremendous. And we figured if there's an opportunity for us to potentially install some solar panels on it, which is not an easy thing to do, we're going to try to take a look at it. I'm sure a couple nights ago you heard me possibly partnering up with UConn and one of the key professors in UConn that potentially could give us a pilot project, which ultimately would lead to potentially some funding of a federal grant to do some solar work on that landfill. So yes, we are very interested in taking any opportunity we can for green energy.
Thank you, Antonio. Thank you, Colleen.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, let's move on to page 264, engineering.
264 engineering. Their proposed budget is $1,029,500. That's an increase of $5,560 and some adjustments throughout. And salaries and salary related items went up the most, but offset by some reduction in other areas.
Any questions?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr. Esposito.
thanks through you to either David St. Clair or Director Irola. Under traffic engineer, I know we had the former traffic engineer retired, but is he still working for the city or have we hired a new one?
Mr. Chair, if you would allow me. Yeah, Mr. Esposito, we have actively been trying to hire a traffic engineer. There's a tremendous shortfall. I'm going to tell you, it's probably in the tri-state area. Hartford is looking for a traffic engineer. Stanford just lost their traffic engineer to Norwalk. So yeah, it's a difficult position to fill. We are gratefully enough, our old traffic engineer is working part-time for us right now. And some of the common day-to-day duties we're trying to handle internally, but he has been very active with us and we're actively pursuing hiring somebody with our human resources folks.
Thank you, Mr. Irola.
Are you good, Jen? Any other questions? Okay, I guess we can move on to construction services, page 267.
Yep, and the budget as proposed by the mayor is $289,000. And that is a small reduction of about $1,900. And it's, small areas in outside services, workers' comp went down, and professional services.
Anybody have any questions?
Colleen, I have a question if I may.
Sure, go ahead.
Antonio, I know there's a lot of work can be done with the artificial turf fields, Kaplanas Field, Perry Field, and Danbury High School. But the Perry Field isn't that old and it doesn't seem to get a lot of playing time as compared to Danbury High School and Kaplanas Field. So why does that have to get repaired at this time? It looks in pretty good shape when I see it.
Yeah, well, it's very important that you have to understand the look of a field isn't as important as the ability of the turf to hold the infill material. And we do what's called a G drop test. It's basically a test where it measures a child's head in a helmet hitting the field. And believe it or not, that field failed, unfortunately. It didn't do well. It was right on the verge of failing. So it is for that reason that we are replacing it. So it's very important to note that the look of the turf isn't as critical as the underlayment, which takes that G-shock away, and the ability for the turf to actually handle the infill. So that's the reason why we're replacing it. Remember, one of the most, these fields are great. They drain well, they get continuous use, but they do wear. And the wear isn't so much what you see in the turf, it's the underlayment, which just sits underneath the turf and nobody really sees.
Is it still the better way to go, to have a turf or go back to natural grass?
Oh, no. Were you the one that was asking me about the Westerners field?
Yes,
Okay. Did I tell you I'm counting grass every day?
that's what I was thinking. Why can't you
Okay.
grow grass there?
Yeah, no, I don't want to, I don't want to be counting grass on all these turf fields. Yeah, yeah, it's
Any
still
other,
the best way to go. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
any other questions? Okay, let's move on.
Okay.
I don't see anything under,
3999, yeah, I think we talked about that previously. This is where we, put
Yeah.
some amount said spread throughout all the 3,000 departments.
okay,
All right.
move on to Public Works Employee Benefits.
Okay.
no.
Recreation, right?
Yep, Recreation,
All right.
296.
296. All right. Recreation, as mayor proposed budget is 287,000. That's a reduction of $34,320. And primary reason is a reduction of part-time salaries and professional services and maintenance and supplies. That reduction is really, it's a one-time reduction for this year because we know we're not going to have a full summer program. And that will likely come back up to the normal level in the next year's budget when, post-COVID. But, we certainly won't need to tie up funds for this current year for this next budget year. Because we know that the programs will still be reduced.
Okay, any questions?
Colleen, I'm sorry, but I do have a question, if I may.
Yes.
It's more about the objectives is what I'm reading it from.
Mhm.
And again, it's not about the line items because I think they're fine the way they are. But what is an early warning lighting detection system?
296.
2 years on 293.
293.
Yes. The early
This-
warning lighting detection system.
Lightning.
Lightning.
Yes, that is to warn the patrons of the park if there's an ongoing or an upcoming thunderstorm. So this will sound an alarm so that people will get off the field before the storm actually hits.
And that's going to be on all fields?
Well, not every one, but the major parks, Rogers Park, Candlewood Park, Kenosha Park, up at Mill Ridge. So it's a system where there'll be a central point where the information is received and go back to the parks, letting everyone know that there's an impending storm.
So it'll be like a big siren, so Freddie's neighbors can complain?
Well, it'd be a flashing light and, some kind of siren. I mean, I don't know all the specifics about it, but this is to make sure that people get out of harm's way before something happens.
And that's going to be funded through your budget or through capital?
Well, that's a capital appropriation.
And that'll be installed for this summer or?
Well,
Okay.
I'm not sure. I haven't seen it. I think it is. It's going to happen.
Okay. And the other thing I think it's here is the basketball courts. I think that's Dwayne's pet peeve for a while. Do you know where we're planning on putting them? Because I know I've been asking for years that Park Avenue School have a basketball court somewhere installed. But I haven't heard anything if that's even feasible.
Well, the objective has always been to have a court, where you can play, full court basketball. Most of the schools have basketball hoops in the yard, but not necessarily a full, basketball court with two opposing backboards and nets.
So you're
The biggest
looking,
issue with that, the biggest issue is identifying a spot where we can actually build, a new court. We have tried several different venues, and there's just never been consensus on being able to make it happen.
so you're looking
But,
for something like Beaver Street, like you have there, that full
well,
court.
yes, in that general realm. I mean, we have one behind Rogers Park Middle School. Obviously the one on Beaver Street. Behind the PAL building, there's a nice one. So we do have courts, but it wouldn't hurt if we had another one. It's just an issue of finding the right location to put it.
What about the old Thunderbird camp site next to the Vespucci's?
Well, I won't say that that's not a good idea, but I know that the objective has always been to try and centralize it in the downtown area. That being on the west end of town, I mean, it's a haul to get there, especially if you're trying to accommodate the younger children. They're not going to be able to get up there.
There's a lot of soccer fields there, though.
Well, yeah, but most of that is the parents are bringing their kids to practice and bringing them home.
Okay, I'm just bringing out some stuff. All right, that's all I needed. Thank you. Thank you,
Well,
Nick.
I'll make a
Okay.
comment. I mean, even the PAL building, Nick, has a bus line. I mean, right? We have a bus line that could bring kids to the PAL building if they want to play basketball outside.
Well, I can tell you that's near my office, and I see kids riding their bikes or walking to the court. I don't know that, people are getting dropped off or picked up by the bus. I mean, that could be possible, but
No, I'm just saying that there is a bus line that it's,
yeah,
can bring children there if they wanted to.
true.
Ms.
Okay.
Ms. Chairwoman,
Yes.
thank you. Through you to the Parks Director. Yeah, I mean, Ben's right. We have been advocating this for quite some time. And we keep asking the question, what about Rogers Park?
There's one there.
We have one behind the
The
school.
basketball court. No, I don't mean that one. That's not really like you're describing. That's not like a real court.
Sure it
we want
is.
something full court, possibly a small amount of bleachers maybe. What about Rogers Park, right across from the right field where the Westerners play? Across Memorial Drive.
Mrs. Chairman, if you would allow me, I can maybe address that very quickly.
Yes, go ahead.
Sure. We, as Nick has stated, we have looked at the main driver, and what we're really trying to do is put this basketball court in an urban area where children can walk to it, really create like a neighborhood court. We definitely have some challenges. I must have had staff design, I think we're up to 3 courts now in 3 different locations. Each one of them posed a tremendous amount of challenge. And we just encountered that with Roland Street. We're right in the process of doing our final evaluation of that potential site. What I wanted to mention to you is our next site is Rogers Park. So yesterday, we actually got some current survey information, and we are going to vet that out. We also believe, we tried our best to have more of a central urban location, but that Rogers Park is so incredibly accessible and so well used that those courts might get the use that we really are looking for. The last thing we want to do is build a court and not have anybody to be able to use it because of not good access or poor parking or things like that. So I am looking into that, and that is the next place that we're moving to as far as citing a court.
That's good,
Great.
Mr. Iadirola. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, any other questions? Nick, did you want to comment on anything else?
No, I appreciate the effort provided to the department, and David explained everything as well or better than I could have. But as long as we keep our eye on the ball for next year, when we expect everything to be back to whatever close to normal is going to be, and I'll be able to reinstate some of the part-time salaries in addition to the increase in the minimum wages, we should be good.
And do we know if we're gonna have lifeguards for is the town park gonna be open?
Well, we're having a meeting Monday to talk about exactly what our plan is going to be. I mean, I'm
Okay.
hopeful that we could do it, but there's still a few things that we have to work through that are actually COVID related. So we're going to have that discussion next week, and hopefully we'll have a plan in place after that.
Okay, thanks, Nick. Okay,
All
any
right.
other questions?
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Any other questions? Okay, can we move to Jerry Wild Park Authority, page 299?
Thank you. The budget remains flat at $197,000.
Okay, any questions?
Yes, Colleen, can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Every year they keep asking for more and more and more,
Mhm.
and we kind of keep it flat. So to Antonio and as well, is this enough money to maintain the mansion and all their buildings on ground? That there's no holes in the roofs? Because that's been a problem a few years back, which I think has been fixed since then. Is this enough to maintain it? The park and the buildings? Because they're not going to get a lot of mansion weddings, I don't foresee.
I will address this if I can. And Antonio, if I know there'll be some things that you probably need to add on to what I say. Part of what we're doing is we're looking at not only Terry Weil, but certainly the Danbury Museum and the parking authority, all the authorities, because they've been hit pretty hard. Their revenues are down significantly. The only one that seemed to do well in this past year is Richter Park Authority, because they were the only one that was really open. And kudos to them, but the other ones were hit very, very hard. So we're looking at that, and part of this American Rescue plan is to really help the local government and those agencies that are related to the local government to provide them the assistance as well. So we'll take a look at how we can best do that. We're also, as we build out our new system, we're keeping them in mind too, because we like to be able to offer them the ability to utilize our ERP system as their back office if they choose to. Ideally, that would be best. And we're trying to consolidate some of those other services to help minimize their costs and standardize some of the things so they can use one auditor and one system, one auditor, and reduce a lot of those costs. But on the revenue side, we recognize that we'll probably have to do something in that regard, and it'll be coming from those other grant funds that we're getting. We just haven't made a determination of what that's going to look like yet.
Okay, thank you. Okay, can you just keep the council in the loop?
Oh, yeah, we certainly will. You know, I have the 10-year information from all these agencies. You know, we're gonna sit down and work with them on it, but so we'll keep you abreast of it.
Thank you. Thank you, Colleen.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, let's move on to Cultural Commission 301.
301, they're flat at 65,650.
Any questions? No? Is there anyone here from the Cultural Commission or? No? Okay. Let's move on to Lake Kenosha Commission 303.
Yep, and they are again flat at 15,200. And keep in mind, we really worked hard to keep all these agencies flat because we know how much they've been impacted. You know, that each and every one of them has, you know, had their own story of how the pandemic has affected them. It's not just a decline of revenue, but it's impacted each and every one of them in a unique way. But so, you know, we didn't want to compound their problem by cutting them at this time.
Okay, should we move on to?
Danbury Museum.
Excuse me, yep, museum.
All right, page
306.
306. Yeah, Danbury Museum is flat at 89,950.
I think I saw Bridget, are you here? Still? No?
Hello. He was.
Hi, Bridget, how are you?
Jeffrey is here.
How you doing?
Yep.
Then
But I'm
any
not-
questions or anybody have any questions?
I have a question for Bridget, if I can.
Sure.
Can you tell us what's going on with the schoolhouse at Rogers Park that looks like it's falling down?
So about 45 years ago, when we moved the schoolhouse over, and by we, I mean the private 501c3 museum, which it was at the time, they put it on the foundation in an incorrect way. So the foundation does not sustain the building at all, and we have not been able to utilize the building. So putting funding into that building without taking it off the foundation and resetting it didn't seem like it made a lot of sense when we had other really critical infrastructure needs within the organization that we've been addressing over the last 10 years. So the schoolhouse is last on our list of buildings to be rehabilitated. Right now, because of COVID, we're off our rehabilitation schedule, but we're still moving forward. We've been rehabilitating the interior of the Ives House for the last year, despite COVID, and with a very wonderful contractors who all adjusted their schedule so that no one works with any other person in the building at any given time. So it's been complicated. And yes, would I love to see work done in the schoolhouse? Absolutely. But Ives is the place where we're turning our attention and what monies we have, which thanks to Savings Bank of Danbury is incredibly well funded and well on the way to being finished and open to the public when we are allowed to open to the public.
Great.
So Antonio, is there something that the Public Works can assist on? Because eventually if that building falls down, falls apart, then obviously we'll have another castle on our hands.
Well, may I address that really quickly before Antonio breaks in?
Sure.
Okay.
Yes.
Number one, that building is not on the National Register, nor is it on the Historic Register. When it was moved over, there were very few original pieces from the King Street Schoolhouse that were included. When they did the rehabilitation on that, I can't even use rehabilitation. When they did the replacement on that building, they only left a few unique pieces on the interior. So stabilizing the building is, of course, critical for the aesthetic of the downtown area. We don't want it to look bad because that challenges the aesthetic of the neighborhood, right? But when we talk about the historical accuracy of the building and putting funding into that building, I would definitely advocate that we really think about what pieces we want to save and how those could be utilized in a way that that best serves the community. So whether that means that we take certain pieces from that building and bring it to the museum proper, that might be something we do down the road as well. There's a lot of unique ways to use that space, and we've had a lot of really great discussions with Terry Weil and with the Ives Trail people about how to use that as the kickoff to the Ives Trail and possibly use it for some parking. Right now, because of COVID, you don't see the teams that utilize, most especially the cheerleading teams that use the space around it for practice. So there's a lot of really cool things that we could do with that space. And I would look forward to having a discussion with Antonio about how adaptive reuse.
Okay, thank you, Bridget.
Thank you.
Antonio, did you want to offer anything or?
No, I just, I work with Bridget on whatever she needs. A lot of, sometimes it could be just advice, or sometimes it could be trying to spearhead some options on what to do. But it is sort of an independent, set aside from the Public Works Department. And we just helped do a tremendous amount of work in a parking lot, new sidewalks, drainage, and we worked together to do that. And we worked hard to provide the funding. But it's the same thing we do with Terry Weil. We work with Becky all the time. She runs into a snag, and we show up and try to provide advice, but we don't carry the financials for those two independent agencies.
Thank you. Is there any other questions or any other comments that would?
I think we have some money from one of the school. This is related to the schoolhouse move, right? You're planning on moving at one time, right?
We were, if I could maybe answer that question, we were planning on moving it, but we have a very limited staff and a very small budget. And so there are critical infrastructure needs that take priority to moving the schoolhouse. And then we found out, rather unfortunately, that there was not as much original to the schoolhouse as we had hoped and thought. So that changes the thought process a little bit.
I'll have to double check to see if there was some funding that was set aside for that. I seem to recall that there is. And so, when check in with me on that next week if you could. And
oh, I will.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, David.
Yep.
And anyone else? Okay, thank you, Bridget. Good night.
Thank you, everyone. We appreciate that we're included in the budget each year, and we appreciate all the hard work to keep us there. So thank
Absolutely,
you.
everybody. Thank you.
Thank you,
Have a
Bridget.
good night,
Thank you,
everybody.
Good night, Jeff.
Thanks. Bye-bye, guys.
Good to see you, Jeff.
Thank you. Good to see you too,
Thank you,
David.
guys.
All right.
Okay, we'll move on to,
Yeah, again, page 312, the cultural improvements, that is for all the 7,000 lines. We put money in there just in case we need to supplement anything in the 7,000 lines. It's minor dollars, but anyways, in the 8,000 lines, FICA, I think we touched on a lot of this last night, but we can talk to it again tonight as you wish.
okay.
It's up to you.
Does anyone have any questions regarding the 8,000? FICA, pension, employee service benefits on page 361. Anybody have any questions?
Employee health, all this. I think we covered this last night. I'm not sure why it's on
We
this.
did.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, well, let's move on then. Let's go to long-term.
Oh, you know why? My apology, because it's a part of the water fund. And we did mention last night it would be covered in all the funds. So that's just the department in the water fund. So if we keep going, we'll cover the other areas of the water and the sewer fund. So
Okay. So let's move on to 362, page 362, or is that all?
362.
Risk management, long-term debt bonds.
Yeah, let me just.
That's water. That's David Day.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah, right here. 362. All right, long-term debt. Let's see. Bear with me a second, guys. My apologies.
No problem.
We gotta get this, okay. We can see what we're doing here. Okay, so we have the water fund. And on page 362, the amount of debt service proposed is 164,815. That's flat with the current year.
Okay, do we have any questions? Okay,
Okay.
you want to keep going with that, David?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
okay,
the long-term debt on the bonds, Department 9802 utility plant, page 362. As proposed by the mayor, 185,500, small reduction of 2,000.
any questions?
Okay,
Not that I can hear of any. Let's move on to utility plan operation, page
Yep, page
363.
363, 56,000 flat with the current year.
Okay, any questions? No, we'll move on. And source of supply,
Yeah, source of supply. And this is $210,000, a reduction of $66,000. And that's engineering services, open operation, and other services there. So
there's a reduction there, okay. All right, any questions? Okay, let's move on to pumping operation.
okay, so we have pumping operations on page 363. That's basically flat at $207,000.
Any questions? No, okay. Let's move on to the water treatment operation.
Water treatment operations, page 363 as well. That went down a little bit. As mayor's proposed budget is $2,041,111.
Does anyone have any questions?
Madam Chair, just a very brief question to Mr. Day.
Sure.
Shoe allowance, could you explain what that is?
But
Yeah, those are just safety shoes for the workers.
Okay, all right, great.
they're
Thank you.
contractual, by the way.
That's what I figured. Thank you very much.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, let's move on to page 364,
360
transmissions and distribution.
transmission distribution. The budget as proposed by the mayor is $2,172,456. And that's an increase of $152,456.
Any questions?
What's the increase about, David?
It's in salaries. That's where the salaries, the bulk of the
Contracted?
salaries. Yeah.
Any other questions? All right, let's move on to customer account operations.
Yeah, that's it's flat with the current year, $299,340.
Okay, any questions? Okay, let's move on to the water discounts, page 366.
Okay, page 366. Do we skip over 365, administrative?
Oh, maybe we did.
Yeah.
Yep.
So 910, 365. The proposed by the mayor, $590,868. That's a small increase of $42.39. And it's
Minimal.
yeah, minimal in purchase services.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Okay, go back to,
Yeah, discounts, there's nothing there anyway. So
engineering services, water,
Engineering.
366.
yep, 366. mayor's proposed is $178, $178,196. Basically flat. It went down $527.
Okay, any questions? Okay, we're almost done here.
Okay.
Water capital, three
Water
sixty-seven.
capital. Yep, page 367. This is the mayor's proposed is $229,695. And that is really a transfer out to capital. If they
Okay,
if they need more capital during the year, you know, they will come back and we'll do a transfer in, you know, from their fund equity. We don't necessarily need to do this within the from the budget, but you know, if they have specific requests, they've got fund equity that we can draw on. Yes.
any questions? Okay, let's move on to,
Yeah, and this is a depreciation expense.
okay,
You know, which is really we had, you know, that's related to all the assets, depreciation,
Yep.
depreciable assets. So it's going up by 50,000. Mayor's is 1,837,945.
okay, any questions on that? Okay, pension expense, page 350.
Yeah, pension expense. We did discuss that last night. Happy to discuss it
Okay.
again. This is for the sewer fund, but it's 350. You know, this is just the cost related to the employees associated with the sewer fund.
Okay, any questions?
It's
we have any
not much because there's still we're still covering under the old when the employees were transferred into Veolia. There's still one person that's still part of our, I think it's one, still covered under our old pension plan, under our pension plan, an old employee covered under our pension plan.
David, can you comment on all of these altogether, the 8002 right down?
Yeah, I mean, this is all, this is
Everything that
their
has to do with
cost
sewer,
of the insurances and you know,
administration,
there's not much in the sewer and water, or in the sewer part. In the water there isn't in the sewer, simply because, you know, Veolia covers the bulk of that stuff, you know, and they're not our employees anymore, and that's why you don't see that there. The big expense for the sewer fund is in right here on page 350, and that's the Veolia contract. And you know, that's why you see it going up by $112,000. And that's, you know, as mayor's proposed is $6,117,226.
yeah.
And, you know,
Any questions?
So
Colleen?
David, when does that contract end?
Pretty soon.
Dave, do you know, Dave, I can't remember what the.
Yes, and we had a 5-year renewal, and the
Right.
whole intent was to renew the contract till the upgrade is done. We felt it was better to stick with the existing operator until the upgrade work was done. So we actually signed on for an additional 5 years plus an option for another 2.
Yeah. So so we're in the midst of doing the upgrade, and you know, so we're not going to switch in the middle you know, the race here. So the upgrade is ongoing, and so you figure we renewed the old contract. I think it was at the end of 18, right?
That was in 2017. So
17.
yeah, 5 years plus another 2 brings us to like
Plus another 2, right.
2024 or so. Yeah.
Right.
More years. Okay, any questions?
Colleen, Madam Chairwoman?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, through you to either David Day, David St. Hilaire, or Antonio, is anybody testing the effluent for COVID?
Oh,
I know some communities are doing that, and they're having some
Yeah,
interesting results.
yeah, that's been discussed. I'm going to let these guys talk about it. They're the experts.
David, Day, is it?
Sure, yeah, well, the University of Yale contacted us a couple months ago, and we are collecting samples for them on a daily basis. And they do analyze that for the COVID virus itself, and they use that, to help predict what's coming down the pike. So Yale is using our wastewater, as well as I think 7 or 8 other communities in Connecticut as part of this study.
Yeah, and any trends you can talk about in Danbury? Going up, going down, flat?
Really, they use it to help predict what's coming down the pike. I haven't looked at it recently. I know, Kara does look at it now and then, and I understand it does vet out the actual testing that we see. So
Okay, all right, thank you, David.
It's another tool in the toolbox. It's not the end all be all, but it's used with all the other tools. So
All right, thank you, and thank you, Madam Chairwoman.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I just have an overall comment to this water and sewer, that's all.
Okay, go
done.
ahead, Ben.
So I guess, David, so all this is really paid by the users. So we're projecting no water and no sewer increases. So you're feeling pretty confident that the revenue sources will pay for this expenses?
That's for me, right? Yes, I am. We are seeing, good collections, good billings, good numbers so far. And, the collections were down last year. Billings were, it was a noticeable decline, but that bounced back this year. So, but the usage wasn't down. It was just the collections were down. So it was a temporary decline. And but we did see a shift, as we talked about, I think previously, it's not unexpected. I mean, your business is closed and people were forced to stay home. So, so you saw obviously residential usage goes up and your commercial usage went down. And so it was interesting to see the shift, and the volume went up. And I do have a chart, but if you want to see it, let's set up a time. I'll show you the chart on this stuff. The numbers are awfully small for this purpose, and I think if you're not sleeping already, this will certainly put you to sleep. But
Thanks, David.
yeah. But if you're a numbers person, you'll find it really fascinating. So I find it really interesting to see how this stuff works. But for this year, I think we're good. And then we'll see where it goes when things start shifting back to normal.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and then
Thank you,
on
Dave.
page 352, where it's also depreciation.
Yeah, depreciation. So we're I'm sorry, 352.
Page 352. That's what it says. And that's for this. Didn't we already do this?
352.
Oh,
Sewer,
yeah,
sewer
we had the
debt.
water capital depreciation. Now that's sewer.
Okay. So, all right. So we got sewer debt. It must be down at the bottom then. All right. Well, let
It's
me
all the way
look.
down at the bottom, Dave. It says subtotal gap year-end entry.
Okay. That's probably over a bit then. That's the water fund. Let me look in my book. I probably filtered it out and I shouldn't have. 352.
Well, it's a decrease of 115,000, which is great.
All right. Well, thank you. All right, yeah, depreciation. Yeah, depreciation actually went up budget to budget. So, but that just means, where depreciation, more assets are coming. online, and we're depreciating those assets now. So that's what that means. So that's not unusual. The big change, though, is on that page as well is, that the debt service reserve, we dropped from 950 down to 750 to help keep the sewer fund at the level of 14.3. And I think we're okay doing that.
Okay, any questions on that? Does anybody have any other further questions on the total public works?
I do have a
Budget.
question. I apologize. My laptop almost ran out of power. I almost lost you
Oh,
guys.
no.
I know. I had to plug in, but I'm good now. So
Okay,
good for another 2
we're
hours.
ready for you.
I'm good for another 2 hours.
I may have to plug in a second here.
I didn't even check mine. I might have to too.
Well, I mean,
So,
me personally, I may have to.
So again, I just want to give this, like I said, I just want to give an overall view of the public works budget. And as you know, I've been on this for almost 16 years, and my opinion hasn't changed. Public works is, my opinion, one of the most important departments that we have in the city. It affects every citizen of the city 24 hours a day. And if there's just not enough money that we can give to it, it deserves a lot more funds. And it's all the hard work that Antonio and his crew does. When it snows, they're there. When there's a water leak, they're there. We just can't thank them enough. But, the numbers are the numbers. But I just want to ask Antonio just to give an overview for the next summer, because it's paving season. You're going to get questions from us, from the constituents throughout it. What are your goals that you want to accomplish over the next 4 months within the public works, with the paving, the forestry, the leaf pickups, all the stuff that we keep asking month to month? And the numbers kind of reflect that, but I just want to hear from you, from the ultimate, what do you want to accomplish from this summer? How many miles of roads you want to pave, things like that. And that's all, Chairwoman, and then I'll just rest for the evening. Thank you.
Thanks. Is Antonio still with us?
Yes, I've been plugged in, so I'm ready to rock and roll.
All right, you got 3 hours, Antonio. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's it's a good question. And Ben, the most important thing to recognize is the entire existence of a public works department, a good public works department that is managed well, is we have programs that are seasonal programs, such as several that you described, paving. We have catch basin cleaning, leaf pickup, and things like that, snow plowing, ice control. And we gear up season to season to accommodate what our goals are. For paving, which we have a very strong appetite this year to push into about 11 miles of paving. We hope to probably go just over 11 miles. Long Ridge Road is our top priority. We are scheduled to have signed contracts this Friday. And you're going to see us out there working, hopefully 2 weeks after that signed contract. The contractor will mobilize and we'll take on that work. And believe it or not, that's a huge undertaking. That Long Ridge Road with West Reading Road is like 3.55 miles. It's about 5,400 tons of asphalt. That is a significant paving of a single roadway. And we're eager to get that done. As you know, the community has been asking for this road to be paved. We had some interesting challenges, but we got through them. As you know, the designation of the road really prevented us from moving as quickly as we wanted to. But here we are, it's springtime, we're going to get that done. Grant Street is really the next big road that we're going to move into. Construction started last week. We're well into doing sidewalks demolition. We're into installing brand new curbs. So we're going to work our way right through this paving season and pull off what will end up being about just around 11 miles of road, just over 11 miles of road. So that is going to be a huge undertaking for the paving season. And just so everybody understands, before we pave a road, we do a full evaluation of the drainage. We do drainage upgrades. So it's not just the paving. It's very easy to go out there and pave everything black. The key is evaluating any drainage needs that you need. If you have some groundwater issues, accommodate them. If you have consistent icing issues, you want to get all that done before you put the dress on that road. And the dress on that road is the paving. The paving and the curbs gives it that final look. So that's where we are with the paving. The rest of our seasonal programs, as you know, ice and snow removal, we prep for that. We make sure that we have enough product in the salt barn, and we continue with that. Some of the other seasonal, we have the leaf back pickup, the Christmas tree pickup, and those are, again, our seasonal types of programs that we work, and we have staff dedicated to it. And we tweak it every year to try to make it a little better. The big emphasis is cleaning of catch basins and sweeping. We're putting more and more resources there. And it's really to address the stormwater management permit that we have to continuously try to comply, which is a monumental task. But those are some of the key elements. And really what we're talking about is the Highway Department, the Public Service Division. The Vehicle Maintenance Division supports all those activities. The Parks Department works very closely with our Director of Parks and Rec, and we prep the fields. We look at schedules. We work with him to make sure our fields are continuously maintained. The mowing, we're mowing 400 to 500 acres, sometimes twice a week, which is a huge undertaking. And all of these are just consistent programs that we try to maintain, and we try to have our equipment ready for before the season starts. So is there anything else I haven't covered, Ben?
I just want to just follow up. I know to make Paul happy, what about, you think Pleasant Street would be on your list?
Oh, guess what? After all these years, the gas company's telling me that by the end of the month, all the gas improvements on that road will be completed. We finally got them to the table. And I'm not going to tell you how we got them to the table because this is a public meeting. But all I'm going to tell you is, I'm Italian, and we use every resource we have sometimes. But no, that has been a long-standing issue. And Paul, I want to thank you for your patience. We did everything we could to get that road paved, but it's finally going to happen. And it is in the early part of our paving program. So you will see as soon as the gas company's out of there, we determine there's no settlement issues. We're going to tackle those roads. Yeah.
Yeah, if I can jump in, I mean, it's a great thing, but let's let the whole thing settle before we dress it out. Just if we have to wait a year, even, I'd be happy with that, because it's been 20 years. So,
Just one more thing, Colleen, and I'll shut up.
Okay, go ahead, Ben.
So Antonio, if you had an early Christmas present, what would you want? What's not in here that you want? Early Christmas present. What would you want?
That's an interesting question, but to be honest with you, I'm working on some really exciting projects on the capital side of the house. Filling potholes, maintaining our roads. It's what we do, and it's one of the most important services that we provide our community. As you mentioned before, people want their roads paved. They want their city to look clean, and we do that. And we do that as best as we can. Us, much like several other communities, We've gone through some budget cuts, but we've found a way to reinvent ourselves. We found a way to buy some new equipment that allows us to be a little more diverse. But really, my Christmas present I have already. I've been allowed to, you guys have funded some really exciting projects that I cannot wait to actually not only cut the ribbon, but do a grand opening. And as you know, the biodiesel plant is a very interesting project that I've been developing and working with University of Connecticut, and it's finally come to a reality. And the school project, I mean, this summit project that you guys heard about the other night, you will not, we're going to be the first in the state, in the tri-state area, that's going to have not only a program like this, but have a school in a community-based mini city that we're going to have. So no, I'm very appreciative of what you guys have done. And I'm going to tell you, I also appreciate the trust you put in me. Sometimes I really ask you to stretch your trust in me, and you've always have. And thank God I've always been able to deliver. So I do want to extend my appreciation to you all.
Well,
Thanks,
again,
Antonio.
we do appreciate everything you do, what David Day does, Tim Nolan, he's a great guy, and Tom Hughes, and the rest of your team. You do really do an outstanding job, and I don't think we really thank you as enough as we should. So just tell the guys thank you from all of us.
No, I will, and I want to just add to how critical your staff is, and I have a tremendous staff, and they all work together. I don't have to force it. They call each other, they share equipment, they share resources, they share experiences, and when you have that, you have a pretty well-oiled machine. So thank you.
No problem. All right, Colleen, let's get the motion.
Okay,
home.
I'm ready. I'm ready for a motion.
Ms. Chairwoman,
Yes, Mr. Giglio.
I make a motion, I move that the Public Works Committee make a recommendation to the full council to adopt the Public Works budget as presented.
Second,
Okay, any discussion on the motion? No discussion on the motion?
Colleen,
Yeah,
Bob Tabersack, I just want to say that I think it's quite remarkable that they were able to almost stay within a flat budget. And I very much appreciate Antonio's work, but the thing that gets me, he's so enthusiastic about what he does.
yeah,
Okay.
thank you, Bob. I
And
appreciate it.
I think that's good to see, but no, I just, I think it's remarkable that they were able to stay that way.
Thank you. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. No further discussion from the committee members. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, thanks, everybody. I appreciate it.
Good night,
You guys
everyone.
did a great
everybody.
job.
Good night,
Thank you.
Good job,
everyone.
Colleen.